Welcome to Sociology Vibes, where we simplify challenging ideas into easy to understand insights. Today, our focus is on the sociological explanation of gentrification, including its causes and consequences. Gentrification occurs as affluent people renovate urban lower-income neighborhoods, pushing out less affluent residents out of those areas. Sociologist Ruth Glass in 1964 coined the term gentrification to describe these changes in London working-class neighborhoods. Specifically, she studied how middle-class people were moving into low-income areas, fixing up the homes, raising the property values, and eventually displacing the original residents. Today, gentrification in the United States is a controversial social trend, and sociologists considered it a social issue because of the displacement of lower-income and non-white lower-income households. However, it is not just what happens to displaced families. There is a visible cultural change in a community that was once strong and provided residents with a sense of belonging and access to shared resources. So even though buildings and homes are old and in need of renovation, residents, especially in communities with a significant people of color population, it is nevertheless a community and home to its residents, sometimes dating back to multiple generations. When upper middle class people who are often younger, sometimes single, and of different racial and ethnic backgrounds move in, they change the look, feel, and culture of the community. Along with purchasing renovated housing, new businesses open to cater to their lifestyle needs that include trendy and expensive restaurants, shops, entertainment, fitness studios, and upscale grocery stores. With these upgrades, the values of homes go up, along with rapidly rising rents for the lower-income original and long-term residents who can no longer afford the increase in the cost of living. Even if people aren't forced out right away, they might feel out of place, like the neighborhood is no longer theirs or was taken away from them, and this creates feelings of resentment and disconnection. Gentrification trends are driven by investors and developers who see profits in revitalizing low-cost areas. In 1979, urban geographer Neil Smith developed the rent gap theory, defined as the difference between what an older property currently earns versus what it could earn after redevelopment, motivating developers to invest in renovations and redevelopment. Sometimes wealthy individuals take on renovations themselves with no intention of living in the home, and instead sell it for rent or profit, sell it to rent it or for a profit. City governments may support the redevelopment to increase property taxes and attract businesses. Individual households look for more affordable housing and move into historically overlooked areas to stay in a city. Sociologists study gentrification and ask who benefits from these changes and who gets left behind. The key issue is the use of power around the control of land, housing, and the future of communities and neighborhoods without much input from existing residents. Supporters of gentrification believe that it improves neglected areas and improves access to services, reduces crime, increases economic growth and jobs. Some local governments mandate that developers include a certain number of subsidized housing units reserved just for low-income households. They implement affordable housing policies, rent control, and protections for tenants. However, these policies are controversial and face court challenges. Critics also point out that this does not prevent displacement, erases the existing local culture and history, creates tensions, and perpetuates social inequalities. Examples of gentrified communities include Brooklyn and Harlem in New York, the Mission District in San Francisco, Logan Square in Chicago, and Silver Lake in Los Angeles. These are just a few examples, as gentrification is a trend in many communities around the country due to the high cost of living. Most displaced residents tend to move to nearby, less expensive neighborhoods that have not been gentrified. Some move to the peripheries of cities, including older suburbs and peripheral exurbs. Sociologists refer to this as the suburbanization of poverty. The consequences include experiencing worse living conditions and longer commutes to work, and less access to public services and transportations. This includes smaller apartments, crowded conditions, and multi-generations live together in smaller homes, and a higher risk of eviction as housing costs continue to rise, especially as the population grows and there's more competition for housing. As more people move into affordable areas, this can concentrate poverty in communities. Displacement can also cause housing instability and homelessness as residents cannot afford the move. This is especially a risk for people who have low credit scores or not very little savings for rent deposits, people living at or near the poverty income levels. Gentrification allows us to understand how economic forces, housing markets, and inequality impact and shape everyday life in urban communities and neighborhoods. We can see that changes in neighborhoods are not random, but patterned outcomes of societal economic trends and public policies that influence social class, race and ethnicity, and inequalities. It helps us think critically about how these changes affect mental health, belonging, and identities. And we can observe the use of power and inclusion, who is making public policy decisions and who's being left out in one of the more personal parts of our lives, where we live. And that makes sociology worth exploring further, don't you think? Thank you for watching. Be sure to comment below with your thoughts, questions, or any topics you'd like us to explore next. Let's keep the conversation going and our community growing. See you in the next Sociology Vibes video.